What if the moon wasn't just a rock in the sky, but a quiet teacher waiting for you to listen? In the darkest hours, do the stars speak more clearly, or do we finally begin to listen? As the strawberry moon rises, will you simply look up, or will you kneel in prayer beneath its light? In the stillness of the night, as the strawberry moon lifts itself above the horizon, there is a voice, ancient, wordless, eternal. It does not demand, it does not plead, it waits for you. This book is an invitation to look up, not just to witness the celestial dance of planets, stars, and moons, but to rediscover something primal and sacred within yourself. In the glow of the cosmos, we find a mirror of our souls, vast, turbulent, beautiful, and, above all, in need of alignment. We journey through the seasons of the sky, the June strawberry moon, the eclipse that bleeds the moon red, the spiral of the Milky Way. And we match these with the seasons of the soul, suffering and surrender, longing and letting go, silence and revelation. Along the way, the Stoics walk with us. Marcus, Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, whispering old truths that still ring true under new skies. This book is not just a meditation, it is a prayer. A long one, yes, but one you are meant to walk, not just read. It is for those who have stared at the stars and asked why, for those who fall into their knees in confusion and found not answers, but peace, for those ready to see the sky not just as spectacle, but as scripture. Chapter 1, Look Up. The moon as mirror of the soul. He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe. Marcus Aurelius. The sky above, the soul below. In the middle of June, the night breathes a little slower. You can feel it. The air thickens with memory, with mystery. There is a hush, not quite silence, but something deeper. And in that hush, the moon rises. The strawberry moon. Its name tastes sweet, but its light is solemn. It is the lowest full moon in the sky in decades, a result of a phenomenon the ancients once watched with awe, the major lunar standstill. The moon, refusing to climb high, seems almost to kneel over the horizon. And perhaps so should we. When you look up at the moon, you're not looking at an object. You're looking at a presence, a mirror, a reminder. You are small. You are not the center, but you are seen. A mirror, not a lamp. The Stoics taught us not to chase after the world, but to reflect it within. The moon does not generate light. It reflects the sun, and in that reflection, it offers illumination. The soul, too, when properly oriented, does not produce peace on its own. It reflects divine order, eternal truth. We are taught to be radiant. But perhaps first we must learn to be reflective. When we pray under the moon, what are we doing? We are not casting spells. We are not bending the universe to our will. We are aligning. We are adjusting the soul's orbit to match the eternal. In this way, prayer is like astronomy, a patient act of attention. You don't shout at the stars, you observe them and let them move you. 3. The moon's phases and the soul's seasons. The moon wanes, then waxes. It disappears, then returns. We forget, then remember. We fall, then stand again. In June, when the full moon rises lowest, it feels almost like it's bowing to the earth, not in defeat, in reverence, as if the moon, too, remembers its place in the cosmic order. The Stoic does not resist the seasons of the soul. He prepares for them. Like Epictetus taught, don't seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather, wish that what happens happen the way it happens. Then you will be happy. This is the first lesson of the moon. Let what rises, rise. Let what fades, fade. Reflect, but do not cling. 4. The first prayer is not a word. Before there were words, there was wonder. Before there was theology, there was awe. When the first humans looked up at the night sky, they prayed, not with formulas, but with silence. And maybe that's still the purest prayer. To look up and be still. The moon asks nothing of us but attention. But in giving it that attention, we receive something back. A strange, soft clarity, a sense of placement, of scale, of being both infinitely small and deeply known. The Stoic stillness, lunar light. Seneca once wrote, "The whole future lies in uncertainty. Live immediately." The moon is the opposite of immediate. It is slow, predictable, still. But in that stillness, it models something vital, especially for a world addicted to speed. To pray like the moon is to resist frenzy. To live like the Stoics is to resist panic. To look up is to remember nothing eternal is ever in a hurry. Chapter 2. The silence between stars, listening through prayer. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Epictetus I. A universe without noise. When you step outside on a clear night and look up, what do you hear? Nothing. The stars do not shout. The planets do not hum. The galaxies swirl in great arcs of silent fire, older than our species, older than our dreams. The universe moves, but it does not speak in sound, and yet it communicates through silence. This silence is not emptiness. It is fullness beyond language. It is the background against which all things become visible. And if we listen rightly, it becomes the ground from which true prayer arises. Prayer as deep listening. We often think of prayer as speaking, asking, begging, confessing. But the deepest prayers do not begin with words. They begin with listening. Listening is hard, especially today. Our minds are cluttered with noise, both external and internal. Social media, news alerts, endless conversations, and even more, endless self-talk. To truly pray, we must do something revolutionary. Shut up. In the quiet, we face ourselves. That's why we avoid it. But that's also where transformation begins. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Prayer is the recovery of time, and silence is its doorway." Ferd. The Stoics and the inner voice. The Stoics spoke often of the inner citadel, a place inside the soul that remains untouched by circumstance. To reach it, we must become still. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor surrounded by noise, found peace only in the practice of turning inward. He called it retreating into oneself. Prayer, as practiced by the Stoic, is not emotional chaos. It is clarity. It is stillness. It is tuning your soul to the frequency of the eternal Bra. The stars do not debate. When you look at the Milky Way, stretched like a river of ghosts across the sky, you are seeing ancient light. Light that left its stars thousands of years ago, long before your problems began, long before your name was spoken. And yet, that light reaches you. It does not argue. It does not try to persuade you. It simply is. This is the second form of prayer. Not a plea, but a presence. Be still. Let the light reach you. Let it say what words cannot. B. Listening as discipline. Listening is not passive. It is the most active form of humility. To listen, truly, is to let go of control. It is to stop filtering everything through your desire to respond, fix, explain, or defend. When you listen in prayer, you allow the cosmos to have the first word. You allow wisdom to arrive unforced. You practice being nothing, so that grace can be everything. Chapter 3. Fire and Gravity. Stoic Strength in Planetary Orbits. Nature hath given men one tongue but two ears, that we may hear from others twice as much as we speak. Epictetus I. Orbits of fire. In the celestial dome, planets move with astonishing precision. Mercury dances swiftly near the sun. Jupiter looms massive and slow. Each body follows an orbit defined not by chaos, but by invisible laws. Gravity, inertia, time. Their paths are not random. They are governed. so too must our inner lives be. The Stoics taught that a life of virtue is a life lived in accordance with nature. And nature is not random. Nature has rhythm. Nature has rules. To follow our orbit, our true way, we must discover the internal laws that govern peace and purpose. Gravity and Logos. To the Stoics, Logos was the rational principle that governed the universe. Everything has its place. Everything has its pull. In physics, gravity keeps the planets in place. In philosophy, Logos is gravity for the soul. Without it, we drift, we crash, we burn out. Prayer is how we recenter. It is the act of acknowledging that we are not self-sustaining orbits. We are drawn, held, and given direction by something deeper than ourselves. 3. Mars and the energy of discipline. Mars, red and fierce, is the planet of motion, war, and decision. But in Stoic thought, true strength is not chaos, it is discipline. Marcus Aurelius, a warrior emperor, knew the difference. He said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Like Mars in its steady orbit, true discipline is fiery, but fixed. It does not rage, it revolves. We must learn to let our passions move with purpose, not erupt without aim. Jupiter and the gravity of wisdom. Jupiter, the giant, its mass shapes the solar system. It bends comets and shields Earth. Jupiter does not move fast, but when it moves, everything else adjusts. Wisdom is like that. A Stoic sage is not the loudest voice. He is the quiet presence that changes the room simply by being rooted. In prayer, we ask for this kind of gravity, not control, but influence through inner mass. The weight of a steady soul calms the chaos around it. V. Retrograde and the illusion of reversal. Sometimes a planet appears to move backward. This is retrograde, an illusion caused by perspective. In life, we experience this too. Seasons where everything feels like it's going the wrong way. But often, it's just us, in motion, in orbit, passing through strange alignments. The Stoic does not panic at apparent reversal. He looks deeper. He asks, "What am I being shown from this new angle?" Prayer in retrograde seasons is not a demand for change. It is a request for clarity. Chapter 4. The Strawberry Moon and Sweet Surrender. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this, you have the power to revoke at any moment. Marcus Aurelius. The Moon of Ripening. In June, the strawberry moon rises, low, warm, and ancient. Its name comes from ripeness, from sweetness, from fruit reaching maturity under early summer skies. But it is not red like a berry. It glows in soft amber, a light that feels closer to the earth, as if it wishes to touch the horizon. This moon teaches surrender, not the surrender of defeat, but the surrender of ripeness, of readiness, of letting go of effort, and letting grace do what effort cannot. Sweetness. Without struggle, strawberries do not force themselves to ripen. They do not chase the sun or fight the wind. They simply follow the rhythm built into them. So too does the soul that lives in harmony with nature. Prayer in this season is less about asking, more about receiving. Less about striving, more about softening. It is the prayer of the open hand. Seneca reminds us, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. The strawberry moon invites you to enjoy the sweetness already present, not to long for what is not yet yours. The surrendered heart. We are trained to hustle, to control, to produce. But nature reminds us, the most beautiful things come from surrender, not resistance. The flower does not force the fruit. The tree does not demand the season. And you do not need to force your becoming. The Stoic way is not passive. It is yielding with wisdom. To pray under the strawberry moon is to whisper, I trust. I trust the process. I trust the delay. I trust that ripening cannot be rushed. Phi. When prayer feels pointless. There are nights when prayer feels dry, when silence weighs heavy, when surrender seems like abandonment. But the moon does not appear in the sky for your feeling. It rises regardless. It glows without applause. And so must we. This is the power of Stoic prayer, to act in accordance with virtue, not outcome, to shine even if no one sees, to surrender, not as weakness, but as alignment. The sweetness will come, but not from striving, from letting go. Chapter 5. Eclipses and Shadows, the Meaning of Darkness. Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. Seneca, the shadow that speaks. When the earth comes between the sun and the moon, something beautiful happens. The moon turns red. A blood moon, an eclipse. It is a moment of cosmic alignment and a moment of shadow. What once shone silver now glows in dark crimson. Not hidden, but transformed. In our lives, too, shadows come. Moments when clarity is dimmed, when joy is veiled, when the light we trusted seems to disappear. But the eclipse is not the end of the moon. It is a temporary passage, and darkness, like everything in nature, has its purpose. Learning from loss of light. The Stoics knew suffering well. Epictetus was enslaved, Seneca was exiled, Marcus Aurelius ruled in plague and war. But none of them saw darkness as the enemy. Instead, they saw it as a trainer of the soul. A lunar eclipse reminds us, even when we are cast into shadow, we are still held in orbit, still moving, still whole. Prayer in darkness is not about regaining light. It is about regaining perspective. 3. Let the shadow fall. Do not run from the eclipse. Watch it. Let it teach you. There are times in life when you must allow the grief, the confusion, the silence to wash over you like a shadow. Not because it is pleasant, but because it is honest. The Stoics did not deny pain. They dignified it. They stood inside the eclipse and said, "This too is part of the cosmos." Prayer here becomes witness, a way of holding space for what cannot be fixed, only faced. 4. Red light, deeper truth. The reddish hue of the blood moon is caused not by the moon itself, but by the Earth's shadow and sunlight filtered through our atmosphere. This strange, warm light is a paradox, born of darkness, but more beautiful because of it, and so it is with the soul. Sometimes our clearest prayers come through brokenness, not in spite of shadow, but shaped by it. When we say, "I do not understand, but I trust," we echo the eclipse. We glow red, not white. We shine quietly, not brightly, but we shine all the same. Chapter 6. The Milky Way. Chaos as Cosmic Order. Observe constantly that all things take place by change, and accustom yourself to consider that the nature of the universe loves nothing so much as to change the things that are, and to make new things like them. Marcus Aurelius. The River of Light. The Milky Way stretches across the night sky like a celestial river, vast, radiant, and seemingly chaotic. To the naked eye, it appears as a messy band of clustered stars tangled in dust and darkness, but the chaos is only apparent. Within this swirling spiral lies elegant structure. Billions of stars, orbiting in unity, guided by invisible laws and cosmic balance. What looks like disorder from Earth is, in truth, a masterpiece of celestial harmony. So too with the soul. Woo. Inner spiral. We often experience our inner lives as fragmented, conflicting desires, scattered emotions, sudden urges. We seek clarity but feel chaos. But chaos is not always a sign of collapse. Sometimes it is growth in disguise. Just as the galaxy's arms spiral out in patterns too vast for the human eye to see fully, so too might your soul be unfolding in ways your current understanding cannot yet grasp. The Stoics taught that nature is ordered, even when we cannot comprehend the order. Epictetus said, Seek not for events to happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do. Third, prayer amidst disorder. Prayer does not remove the chaos, it reframes it. To pray in the Milky Way's presence is to stand before grandeur that makes no promise of tidiness. You are not asking the galaxy to explain itself. You are asking for the courage to stand within its mystery. The Milky Way reminds us that complexity does not mean confusion. The soul, like the sky, can hold many things and still remain whole. Embracing the spiral path. We do not always grow in straight lines. Sometimes we spiral. We revisit old fears. We loop through forgotten grief. We orbit lessons we thought we'd already learned. The galaxy does not apologize for its shape. It shines. So must you. The Stoic path is not linear. It is not clean. It is deeply human, which means deeply cosmic. To embrace the spiral is to say, I will keep turning toward the light, even when the path curves. Beauty beyond understanding. You cannot see the Milky Way in the city. Too many artificial lights. Too much distraction. You must go where it is dark to witness its brilliance. So it is with the soul. Sometimes we must step away from the noise, retreat from the crowd, to recover the grandeur that is always above us, always within us. In that stillness, that star-washed silence, prayer becomes not just a ritual, but a return to the vastness we carry, a return to the order hidden in our chaos. Chapter 7. Saturn's Rings and the Discipline of Prayer. No man is free who is not master of himself. Epictetus I. The Rings of Saturn. Saturn is not the brightest planet, nor the closest, but when seen through a telescope, it evokes gasps of wonder. Its rings, vast, symmetrical, mysterious, float around it like a crown. They are made not of gold, but of ice and dust, fragile, fragmented, suspended in exquisite order. It is a planet that wears its discipline visibly. To the Stoics, Saturn would be the embodiment of restraint, of rhythm, of order sustained through silence. What prayer requires. Prayer is not only an act of devotion, it is an act of discipline. It requires showing up again and again, not for reward, not for spectacle, but because alignment demands consistency. Like Saturn's rings, our prayers may seem delicate, small, but in their repeated motion, they build an atmosphere around the soul. 3. Boundaries are beauty. Saturn's rings are boundaries, not walls. They do not imprison, they define. So too with discipline in the spiritual life. The Stoics did not see rules as restriction. They saw them as the frame through which freedom becomes possible. Seneca said, "Discipline is freedom." The disciplined prayer life, even if quiet, even if simple, begins to carve out beauty around the self, the way rings encircle Saturn. Gravity and obedience. The rings exist because of gravity. Saturn's immense pull keeps them in place, but it also requires precise conditions to maintain their form. Too little force and they scatter. Too much and they collapse inward. The soul too needs tension. Not chaos, not coercion, just enough gravity, through habit, reflection, reverence, to keep us orbiting the center. Prayer, practiced daily, becomes that gravitational obedience, invisible but shaping. The quiet majesty. Saturn is slow. It takes nearly 30 Earth years to complete one orbit around the Sun. It does not race. It endures. To pray like Saturn is to commit not just in moments of inspiration, but through seasons of dryness, delay, and silence. The rings remind us, sacred. Discipline leaves marks, even when no one is watching. To be ringed by practice is not to be caged. It is to carry silent majesty. Chapter 8. Solar solstice and the light within. The sun too shines into cesspools and is not polluted. Diogenes I. The longest day. The summer solstice marks the longest day of the year, when the sun reaches its highest point in the sky and pauses, seemingly, before turning back again. It is a time of maximum light, But that light is not eternal. From this day forward, darkness will gradually return. The arc of the sun is also the arc of the soul. In this light the Stoic does not cling. He gives thanks and prepares. For light, like all things, is a season. Illumination and impermanence. The solstice reminds us that clarity is a gift, not a guarantee. Moments of insight, when things make sense, when peace is palpable, are precious. But they are not permanent. They must not be idolized. The Stoic prays not to prolong the light, but to learn from it. He asks, "What must I remember when the shadows return?" Third, fire without frenzy. The sun blazes, but it does not burn in panic. Its energy is constant, measured, life-giving. In the same way, the Stoic cultivates an inner sun, a warmth of spirit that radiates not from emotion but from essence. To pray under the solstice sun is to ask, "Let me burn steady. Let me give light, not heat. Let me glow without needing to be seen." Before, the pause at the peak solstice means sun standing still. It is the celestial pause before the turning. In our own lives, we often race from one thing to the next, even in victory. But the solstice teaches us to stop, to notice, to breathe in the fullness of a moment. Prayer at the peak is not a petition. It is a posture, a kneeling of the soul in gratitude before the descent begins. Carrying the light forward. After the solstice, the sun begins its slow return toward winter, and so do we. The Stoic does not mourn the waning light. He carries its lessons forward into shorter days, colder winds, darker skies. He knows that the fire must move inward, that what was once external must now be internalized. This is the discipline of spiritual light, to become a sun within when the sky grows dim. Chapter 9. Venus before dawn, desire, grace, and waiting. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Epictetus I. The morning star Venus rises before the sun, a herald of dawn, a spark of beauty in the night's last hour. Often called the morning star, Venus has long been a symbol of desire, love, and longing. But it is not merely a sign of passion, it is a sign of promise. Venus appears when it's still dark, reminding us that light is on its way. To the Stoic, Venus is not indulgence, it is anticipation disciplined by grace. The shape of desire. Desire itself is not evil. What corrupts us is disordered desire, wanting things we cannot control or clinging to outcomes we cannot guarantee. Venus, in her beauty, invites longing. But the Stoic does not chase beauty. He stands in its presence without needing to possess it. Prayer helps reorder desire. It is not the killing of longing, but the cleansing of it. We ask not, "Give me what I want," but teach me to want what is good. 3. Grace in the shadows. Venus shines before the sun. It does not wait for full daylight to reveal beauty. It appears when most others are still asleep. So too with grace. Sometimes we glimpse hope in the last stretch of the dark. A word, a light, a feeling that says, "Keep going." The Stoic soul does not demand daylight before it begins the journey. It walks toward the light, even when it's just a single star. The discipline of waiting to wait is hard. To wait without frustration, even harder. But waiting is a core Stoic virtue, tied to patience, endurance, and trust. Venus reminds us that some things arrive only when the time is right. You cannot rush the sunrise. You cannot rush transformation. Prayer, in this waiting, becomes breath. It becomes presence. It becomes the silence between promise and fulfillment. A love that needs no answer. Venus is bright, but it fades quickly with the rising sun. Its role is not to dominate the sky, but to prepare the way for greater light. Love is the same. True love, for others, for the world, for the divine, does not cling. it points. The Stoic learns to love in this way, freely, reverently, without control. To pray like Venus is to rise in the dark, shine briefly, and disappear, content that what comes after is greater than what came before. Chapter 10. Meteor showers and the unexpected answer. Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. Epictetus I. Fire falling from the sky. Meteor showers arrive with little warning. The sky, dark and ordinary, suddenly comes alive with streaks of light, burning fragments tracing arcs of wonder across the night. You cannot summon them. You can only be ready. In the same way, divine answers often arrive without schedule, sudden, brilliant, unannounced. Prayer is not always about clarity on demand. It is about preparing the soul to receive when the answer falls, like fire, too, the sudden gift. A meteor is space debris, leftover material from ancient comets. It should be meaningless, but when it enters the atmosphere, it becomes light. So too with moments in our lives. The mundane, the leftover, the small. In the right moment, they become luminous. The Stoic does not wait for dramatic events to feel gratitude. He sees beauty in the ordinary. He knows that wisdom often arrives hidden in what looks like failure. Prayer sharpens our vision for the unexpected. 3. Letting the sky speak first. During a meteor shower, the best thing you can do is stop, look up, and wait. There is no forcing. There is only presence. Prayer in this spirit is an invitation, not a performance. You show up, not with demands, but with readiness. The Stoic way is not to chase the divine, but to stand still enough that the divine might find you. The sky will not be controlled. Meteor showers do not obey the clock. They come in bursts, or not at all. They reward patience, not pressure. In the same way, spiritual insight cannot be extracted through effort. It must be received. The Stoics understood this. We control our effort, not the result. Our readiness, not the reward. To pray in expectation without entitlement, that is the practice. The glory of fleeting light. A meteor flares, then vanishes. Its beauty is in its brevity. Not all answers stay. Not all epiphanies linger. But this does not make them less real. The Stoic learns to hold wonder lightly. He gives thanks for the flash, and does not mourn its fading. Prayer, like a meteor, may only last a moment, but it can leave a trail of transformation behind. Chapter 11. Heavenly cycles and earthly lessons. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. Ecclesiastes 3:1i. The rhythm of the spheres from the full moon to the new moon, from solstice to equinox, from the rising of Venus to the return of Mars. The heavens move in cycles. No part of the sky stays still. Yet every orbit has order, every phase its appointed time. The ancients called this the music of the spheres, a silent song of celestial harmony. The Stoic watches this movement and remembers life, too, has rhythm. Growth, grief, rest, renewal, all come in cycles. None are final. Lessons in repetition. The moon returns, the sun rises. The stars reappear in the same constellations each season. The lesson: return is part of becoming. We are not failures because we revisit old fears. We are not broken because grief circles back. The Stoic embraces repetition, not as punishment, but as refinement. Prayer, practiced regularly, joins this cycle. It turns the human heart in harmony with the heavens. 3. Embracing the low seasons. There are winters of the soul, times of silence, distance, confusion. But even these are not permanent. They are part of the orbit. The Stoic does not curse the cold. He prepares for it, lives through it, knows that the light will return. Prayer in such seasons is not about escape. It is about remaining, trusting the cycle even when the sky is dark. Fu, the faithfulness of the cosmos. The planets never fail to rise. The moon never forgets its path. The sun never fails to set. This cosmic faithfulness becomes a spiritual metaphor. If the heavens can be trusted to move rightly, perhaps so can we. Even in doubt, even in suffering, the Stoic holds to this. The universe is not random. It is structured, ordered, meaningful. And prayer is the practice of aligning our inner world to that outer truth. Becoming part of the pattern. We are not separate from the stars. We are made of the same elements, born of the same dust. To live well is to live with the cycle, not against it. To pray is to place yourself back into the pattern. To inhale like the tide, to exhale like the wind. To believe that your place in the orbit matters. And in doing so, you join the silent procession of the cosmos, a small but sacred part of the great returning. Chapter 12. Stillness Beyond the Sky. A Stoic Benediction. Be like the cliff against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it. Marcus Aurelius I. Beyond the visible. There comes a moment after stargazing when the eye no longer seeks movement. It simply rests. You stop looking for comets, stop counting meteors. You just exist, under the sky, inside the silence. This is not emptiness. It is fullness too deep for sound. The Stoic calls this ataraxia, stillness of soul, not boredom, not passivity, but peace rooted in what cannot be shaken. 2. The final form of prayer. After the words are spoken, after the questions are asked, after the longing has burned itself out, what remains? Gratitude. To pray without needing anything. To kneel not to get, but simply to be. That is benediction. A life aligned with the heavens prays not just in words, but in the way it moves through the world. Through becoming the sky. We began by looking up. We end by looking within. The same dust that forms the Milky Way is in our bones. The same silence between stars exists inside our breath. Stillness is not the absence of life. It is life no longer at war with itself. The Stoic walks not above pain, but through it, carrying light within, as the stars carry fire. A quiet blessing. Let the moon remind you, cycles are sacred. Let the eclipse teach you, shadow is not the end. Let the meteors remind you, wonder can arrive without warning. Let the rings of Saturn show you, discipline is beautiful. Let the solstice remind you, light is returning, always. And let your life become the prayer. Be not the end, but the orbit. This is not the end of the journey. Just another turn in the Chapway spiral. You are still in motion, still in orbit, still being shaped by what is vast and ancient and wise. And if you are still, truly still, you may discover something wondrous, that you are not just under the stars. You are part of them.